Welcome to week 2 in Policy and Politics in Nursing. We are going to review the assignments and the objectives for week 2. I would encourage you to look at the announcements first. Sometimes there are reminders, sometimes there are helpful tips that might help you in the week's assignments or even in your upcoming assignments. Looking at week 2, policy toolkits. This is one where you're going to start building your own toolkit. Looking at the objectives first, so you want to stay focused on what it is we're going to be doing. Describe the role of the healthcare professional in policy advocacy and politics. We're going to focus on nursing, obviously. But within nursing, you don't work alone. You work with physicians, you work with therapists, you work with technicians, you work with the community, you work with administration. You're going to start looking at the collaborative approach or the interdisciplinary approach to advocating for policy. How do you start? Where do you start? Start developing how you would begin to cause awareness or create awareness, create awareness. Who do I talk to? And who are the stakeholders? Population at risk. Who's going to finance? Or is there a financial aspect to the policy? Reviewing your activities for the week. Review the APA paper shell example. Submit your paper on health policy affecting nursing care. So we're going to go back to the assignments, or module 2. And here is your paper. So let's take a look at that and see if this review might be helpful to you. When I look at this, I kind of look at the big picture here. Writing a paper about a health policy issue that affects you. And personally, if it were me, I would be looking within my practice area. What types of patients do I have coming into my practice? Which ones do I see over and over again? And what kind of change might I want to see to help those patients or help the community? So the next thing I would look at the bottom and see how long of a paper this needs to be. How many pages, how many references. So this paper says it can be as long as necessary to be thorough, but it has to be at least 6 pages. And that's 6 pages of content. That doesn't mean it's 4 pages plus a title page plus a reference page. So it's at least 6 pages long. It has to have a title page. It has to have a reference page. It has to be in APA format, 7th edition. And I need 6 references that would include the textbook. It doesn't say, but it is assumed that you know that those 6 references are evidence-based, peer-reviewed references, not a YouTube video, not something that you glean from social media or a quick website, but one that is evidence-based. Those references are evidence-based, and you must include your textbook. So now let's take it apart and see what steps have to be here. So choose one of the healthcare topics in the toolkits you reviewed, or you can choose your own or a case study. How are you going to make a difference in the policy? What proposed change would you make, and how would it impact your team? Who will be your advocates? Will political or government involvement help you, or will they run interference? And in the political climate today, it appears that it could be anything. There'll be some people who support you and some people who are going to throw roadblocks and some people who will be very honest about whether or not this is something they can do. Is it going to be national, statewide, or local? How do you move it to another level? How do you move it beyond your unit or your practice area? And when or would you contact one of your elected officials? And then what steps would you take to redefine the policy? So when I'm looking at this, again, it seems to me that these would make pretty nice headings for your paper. That is what some of the students have done, is pretty much made headings where there's a bullet or a numbered list so that they don't forget anything. Well, let's look at the rubric quickly. This paper is worth 100 points. The very first part is the content. How much you have within your paper is worth 40% of your grade, or 40 points. So you want to make sure that you have a really good content. Make sure it's evidence-based. The introduction is worth 20 points. Again, you want to introduce what your paper is about. So you don't want to just talk about the policy or talk about the problem area that you see, but you want to combine all of that and saying this paper is going to discuss how a nurse can move this policy for this target population into a evidence-based policy or something like that. Organization of your headings, that's worth 10% of your grade. The 10% of your grade is going to be, does this flow easily? Does it go from one place to the next? Again, spelling, grammar, punctuation, citations, references. Nobody wants to take off any points on that. Trust me, nobody. But when you don't include a period after a sentence, or you don't capitalize proper nouns, those are points that are going to be deducted. And that's worth 10% of your grade. Then your conclusion is back to 20 points. Your conclusion should more or less mirror what you said you were going to do in the introduction. So your conclusion is going to say, hey, this is what I said I'm going to do, and this is what I've done. So it's not a quick 1 or 2 sentence conclusion. You need to link it back to the introduction. And that is what you need to know for week 2. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out, and I wish you all the best.